As promised, SHOPO Hour is underway, welcoming into studio, once again, the man, the myth, the legend. Unfortunately, Bobby couldn't make it today, and giving love to Bobby and brother Nick, who is on assignment. But the two brothers, Steve Keogh, Mark Criccio, in our studio today. Brother Steve, aloha.
Rick, always happy and grateful to be here with you and your listeners. It's like Mark and I are kind of the leftovers. You know, the leftovers from the previous evening, right, Mark? Just kind of leftovers. Bobby and Nick aren't here, but hey, you're stuck with Steve and Mark.
Yeah, we're second string.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like if eggs and things are closed, you go to Zippy's.
Eggs and bacon.
Yeah,
there you go.
Zippy's is good.
Right.
Or Lily Hub Bakery.
Yeah. Oh, man, don't start. I haven't had breakfast yet. I'm over here. I'm starving, man. Mark Criccio, welcome back to the United States.
Good to be back. Happy Monday.
Briefly, your travels took you where?
Oh, it's a short trip.
Okay.
Only a couple weeks. I went down to Koh Samui Island, south of Thailand. It was all right. It was hot. It was hot as hell. I forgot this time of year is pretty bad down there. But then it rained really bad, and it was a 10-degree difference. It was crazy. Wow. It was all right. It was good.
Sounds like last week here. It rained like every 12.
I was in town last week.
Okay.
I couldn't make it. I had stuff to do with my dad with the VA. So
Gotcha. Welcome back, man. It's good to see you, brother. Brother Steve Keogh, how was your week?
Good. Wet. I think this is the first morning where at this time of day there's actually the sun peeking through. We're not getting wet. I was working out in Pearl City. We had some union stuff that we were taking care of. So good week, successful week, and happy to kick it off with you, bud.
I have a question, and I'll pose it a little bit later. But in our initial visits, I had invoked Day in the Life. But that's been a couple of years since I brought that up. I'm going to bring it up again. So you can share with us Day in the Life of an HPD officer. And I really want folks to kind of get more of insight. And I believe more information leads to better decisions. And perhaps let's grow support for our officers and empathy, etc. Because when we hear what really a day is, I believe that's very helpful for us to understand. However, there's a headline, and perhaps you have seen it, and this is Forbes Magazine. And Forbes, well-respected publication, they had conducted an analysis, survey, and more globally of safe cities in the world. And Forbes has concluded that Honolulu is number one. Number one safest city in the world. Now, everything is ensconced in methodology and data collection and weighting, WEIGHTIN, weighting data and coming to the analytical conclusion. But the fact that this publication cites Honolulu as the safest city in the world. Now, I would say metrics would include based on population and things of that nature. But what does a headline such as this mean to you? Brother Steve, start with you.
Well, I'm certainly not going to argue with him. I mean, if you can get that kind of global publicity to our capital city here in the state, I think that's going to assist us in our primary revenue generating of tourism. As a law enforcement officer working for Honolulu PD, we've come here many times and shared with you how hard the men and women here in Honolulu and the different counties do work, and how we take pride in protecting the community. So I'd like to say, obviously, that there's credit for the men and women that put on the uniform. I don't know the exact metrics of where they're coming from with that. But like I said, I'll take good press over bad press for our city, our capital city, than something negative. Clearly, if maybe that is more of a macro view. If we get more micro, we know that we've had some challenges, especially in the last couple of months with violent crime. But again, Rick, I didn't read that particular article, but I think anything that can put out, especially to our friends in Japan that we rely on heavily to come here, I think any good press regarding safety and public safety, especially to those that are coming from Japan and other places, it's important, super important.
I'd like to interject for a moment. Brother Romeo, do us a favor. Would you just Google Forbes Honolulu safest city? And if you come up with any printout, could you share some with us? I have not seen the metrics myself, but I do take a look at the very obvious. One, would there be an agenda of naming Honolulu number one? Would somebody have a self-interest? Or, and I can't really think of any. As a matter of fact, Forbes in the past has been very accurate and truthful in revelations about our business environment, our economy, and things of other. So I don't believe there would be any agenda. Metrically speaking, I would assume it would be the statistics that we present publicly from HPD, the city, and more. And when it comes to violent crime, which there's a lot of focus, I would imagine, our rate of murder and violent crime per capita is low. And so if that's a driving force, maybe that's part of the equation. Brother Mark.
Yeah, like Steve said, I mean, any positive news for the state, awesome, right? Mm-hmm. But again, I'd like to know where they're getting these metrics from, right? I mean, we're talking in the world now, right? Yes. The safest city in the world, which I find it hard to believe, but hey, if they want to throw it out there, we'll take it, right? Mm-hmm. Great for tourism. But, people of Japan who've been victimized a lot here, right? They're probably not going to agree with that. I could think of a few cities around the world where Singapore, for one, it's got to be safer than here. Got to be, right? But like I said, I don't know what their demographics are. I don't know what they're basing this on, so I'd like to see that. Yeah. Right?
We'll try to get that, if Brother Romes can get that, and we'll tackle this a little bit later. But there are, go ahead.
No, the other thing that I don't like about the article is, well, you're going to get these politicians with their bail reform saying, "See, I told you," So I don't like that, because they're gonna prey on that to say, "Hey, let's open up the jails even more," right? Which we don't need that. So
interesting. There's no doubt there will be a political side whenever positive data of this nature. Yes, Steve?
Yeah, no, Mark, almost like, if I'm hearing you right, almost that it almost gives a false sense that everything in the city is running perfectly, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm tracking on that. Let's not pretend that everything here is perfect and sunshine. Is that kind of what you're talking about, Mark?
Exactly.
That people will take credit for this, and that when they really shouldn't. Okay.
But I think conversely, if we're named number one in the world, that gives us an indication based on the analysis. Places are more screwed up than we are. And to identify those, you travel extensively, Mark. I know we all get around a little bit. So if we're flying into L.A., I'd like to see where L.A. is on that. And I think that's going to really compel folks to learn more about their destination.
So for me, boys, I'll share this with you, and this is just came to mind. That's fine that Forbes put that out there for the world to see, but how's this? If you actually ask people that live in the city and county of Honolulu if that title should be appropriate, or how do they feel within the last year, that would be interesting to see. I'm not saying this to be inflammatory. I'm just saying, would people that live in this community have the same opinion of Forbes?
Well, I have a PRP report of third quarter 2023, and during the news break at the bottom, I'll fetch that out of my palatial office that's just steps away.
Whipping out the big words.
How's that?
This guy,
palatial.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the shirt.
Yeah.
It's 7:20 in the morning.
A level of reverence.
And glad you're with us here, the SHOPO Hour. I'm going to turn it over to you because I've got some things, but I want to make sure topics of interest or any information you want to impart upon us? Steve, start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Rick. Just wanted to thank the community for the outpouring of support last week during Police Week. As you know, Rick, last Monday, we came together as a community, as multiple law enforcement agencies at the state, local, and federal level, to pay respects for those that wear the uniform, that paid the ultimate sacrifice. So thanks to the community. I can tell you that we had things brought into Pearl City Station, where I'm at now, foods, gifts for Police Week to show appreciation. So a big mahalo to the community for their support, because we really need that, right? And it was just a good week. And I'm so glad the rain let out. I was a little bit pessimistic that we couldn't move forward with that, but thankfully the rain stopped and we had that time together.
How about Wednesday's ceremonies, recognition of excellence within the department and more?
Yeah, I wasn't able to make that, but that's where officers are able to be recognized for the work they do, and we think that's obviously important. Rose is here. All right,
Brother Rome's has color photographs.
Oh, wow!
Along with the story. Thank you, brother. Look at that.
Oh, he's got a highlighter too.
Oh my gosh!
Watch out!
What?
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll let Brother Rome's prep us up here, but thank you for that. Anything else you want to share, Brother Steve?
I just really grateful that we're in a community that supports the police.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Brother Mark.
Yeah, I'm going to mirror what Steve O said over here. It's like Police Week. We need to remember these people that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our community. But let's not just make it 1 week. You should be honoring these people every single day. And then, and that includes our politicians who do not back up the police. So they need to start backing us up. And then includes our politicians in Washington. There were a few bills in Washington that they voted against that would have supported the police. But people don't know that, so.
Mark, I do want to add that as far as politicians go, SHOPO as an organization has felt that Mayor Rick has been getting the job done properly, and we actually were the first labor organization to endorse him. So we are standing behind Mayor Rick for a second term, and we feel that he has the best of intentions when it comes to supporting the men and women here locally in Honolulu that wear the uniform.
How is that support manifested? And I'm only asking because that could be a bellwether for others in administrative positions to do exactly as you said, Mark, to support.
For us, I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak.
Go ahead.
Sure. For us, I know that Bobby has a pretty spectacular line of communication with Mayor Rick and his number two, Mike Fromby.
Yeah.
And it really, when you think about it, Rick, it's about building relationships and having communication. And Mayor Rick has been accessible to us as an organization representing the men and women that wear the uniform. And I feel that that's one of the reasons for the success that we feel he's been doing, because he'll reach out to Bobby, ask if things top of mind. I may join the meetings with the two of them depending on how it goes. But accessibility, I would say, is one of his strengths. And I like the way he communicates. He's a straight shooter. I'm not a lot of gray. He's not area. Mysterious. No, and I appreciate that. Okay. So, just, what you see is what you get. We know he's back in the cops. We're working on hazard pay, obviously, for our membership here in Honolulu. He's been very open about that. We're looking forward to future progress. We backed him. Mark brought up politicians, and I just thought it was important to segue back and say, hey, look, we point our fingers a lot of times at leaders that are getting it wrong. Okay. But this go around, we feel Mayor Rick is the right guy to lead the city moving forward. Yeah.
Brother Mark.
Yeah. So, like I said, it should be recognizing these men and women who gave their ultimate sacrifice. We should be recognizing them all year round. It's great we have a week for them, but let's remember them constantly, right? And and actions speak louder than words coming towards politicians. So a lot of the public feed off what politicians say, right? You get all this, you remember the defund the police and all that, and it just festered, right? So I'm going to bring a few bills that were brought up in Washington that the Hawaii contingent voted against, okay? One of them, Police Our Border Act. It doesn't have to do with city and counties, but it kind of does, right? It's the border. Police Our Border Act. They voted against it. Hawaii contingent voted against it. Here's this other one. LEOSA Reform Act. So that's a retired police officer can carry. So it's a law enforcement reform act. Hawaii contingent voted against it. Okay.
Just to clarify, this is for retired law enforcement to carry a firearm or okay.
The bill passed. Hawaii contingent voted against it. Okay. Detain and deport illegal aliens who assault cops act.
Yes.
Hawaii contingent voted against it.
Voted against.
Yes. And it passed.
But still.
Voted against it. So put your money where your mouth is. You say you support us. This ain't supporting us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that in the House, Senate, or did it make it to both chambers?
Case in Takuda. Voted against
House.
So it's the House.
Yeah.
So
Ed voted against that.
Yeah. And then this happened a while ago, the Lake and Riley Act.
Yes.
Hawaii contingent voted against it. It passed, though.
Right.
So,
but still, jeez.
So are they voting the way they want, or are they voting party line?
Doesn't matter. It's the vote.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, when you get in that voting booth, think of these people that are voting against us.
So, first of all, I want to thank you for bringing that to the table.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful. I had no idea. Yeah. But now that we do.
A lot of voters don't.
It's time to reach out and say, what? And I'm going to connect with Ed's office. I'm surprised that he would vote against. If you can leave me the information so I can reference it. Appreciate that.
That's disappointing. Really?
Yeah.
Which one did you read? It was, if you assault a law enforcement officer and you're here illegally, you would automatically get deported.
Yep. They voted against
it. And the Hawaii representatives in Washington voted against that?
Yes.
It is 7:20 in the morning. We're going to review the Forbes article I referenced at the beginning of the program because Brother Rome's, he has actually Steve Forbes will be with us in has at least provided information that we can reference. If folks would like to learn more and even support SHOPO, Brother Steve, how do we do that?
Absolutely. Please come visit us at shopohawaii.org. From our platform there, you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
On that note, stand by, folks. We're together to the top of the hour. Brother Steve, Brother Mark, it is the SHOPO Hour, and the Rick Blangiardi program continues after this. Primetime traffic.
It's the SHOPO Hour on News Radio 830 KHVH.
I want to thank Brother Steve for the body rub during the break. Your humble talk show host is broken. So that's where we are. Thoroughly enjoying our time together with brothers in studio, Brother Steve, Brother Mark, and Brother Romes. Thank you very much for the printout of the story. You boys have all the copies that you need?
Yep.
I started the program with a headline that Forbes recognizes the world's safest city is Honolulu. And the headline actually says the world's 15 safest cities. 2 U.S. cities made the list, ranked in a new report. The author, Laura Begley Bloom, senior contributor. And now it appears that in the lead paragraph, searching for the safest places to travel, Berkshire Hathaway Travel Protection recently unveiled its annual State of Travel Insurance Safest Destinations report, which ranks the world's 15 safest cities to travel. Now, I know you gents have some of the data and information. I'd like to toss it over to you in recognition of the information provided.
So, according to what you just said, if I understood you correctly, they're going based on how many people made claims, right? They're going by an insurance company. Mm-hmm. Is that what they're going by?
I believe that is correct.
So,
yes.
To me, that's flawed.
How so?
You're going by people that are going to report insurance, claims, but I don't know.
Well, Rick, I think if you don't mind, to give some context to what we're looking at.
Sure.
As far as the safest cities, just to give your listeners an idea of what we're looking at, they've ranked Dubai at number 6. Amsterdam is coming in at 5. Sydney, Australia is 4. Reykjavik, Iceland is 3. And Montreal, Canada is 2. And Honolulu's got the top spot. And then you have cities like Seoul, Tokyo, Berlin, Paris, Barcelona, and Orlando. Mm-hmm. Again, Rick, I don't want to sit here and say, oh, we shouldn't be at the top spot. Like I said, if we can get PR and press to bring people here to our beautiful state, which drives a lot of revenue and economy and jobs, great. I'm all for it. But again, just for conversational purposes, I'll go back to my original statement. Would people that live in the city and county of Honolulu feel that we deserve to be in the number 1 spot? I guess that would be more discussions for other shows, right? And then what? Millennial travelers, they have us ranked number 9. They have us number 2 for safest cities. And then this was caught my eye here. Safest cities for mature travelers, Rick. We're number 6. I don't know what mature means. And then I guess
it's not. I don't know what not mature, us in the room.
Mature means. And then they have a LGBTQ plus travelers. We're ranked number 9. I mean, hey, I don't know about you, Mark.
I don't know. I think they're going based on insurance claims rather than actual crime stats.
That could possibly be.
So,
there's no definitive reading the lead and the fact that the study, State of Travel Insurance, Safest Destinations, reports. But I did not see anything further as to the source. It may be contained in here. The pair firsthand survey respondent experiences with valuable third-party sources. Okay. Only travelers who have actually been to the cities are allowed to rank them on a variety of safety measures using their firsthand knowledge as a yardstick. So it appears that this is respondent survey that they gleaned from people that shared their thoughts.
I'm not in the travel industry, Rick, but from what I've heard from people, if I'm saying this right, I think hotel occupancy is at best 60%.
Oh, we're
best.
Oh no,
we're better than that.
Yeah. We're better than that.
We're definitely better.
Okay.
So we went through a lull period.
Yeah. So we are. We're okay.
Yeah, we're bad. Especially what I just interviewed Duke Amu at Hilton,
okay.
And so,
I just don't want to come across as we're picking this thing to death.
Sure.
I mean, we'll take it. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking to a retired cop and a current cop, we're going to ask obviously more detailed questions like,
sure,
well, what do they mean by safe? What do they mean by that and that kind of stuff? So
no, I fully appreciate that, without a doubt. 521-8383 if you'd like to be a part of the program. I'm leafing through the Hawaii Perspectives Winter 2023 report. This is from Pacific Resource Partnership. They do an exhaustive survey across the state, not just Honolulu, and they ask very specific questions, such as, would you say you and your family are better off or worse off financially now than a year ago? So that's the type of Q&A in so many different areas. Homelessness and crime concerns is one of the areas. Crime, violence, and drug abuse in my county has gotten worse. And this is over a year period of time from the previous. Crime, violence, and drug abuse in my county has gotten worse. We'll start with Kauai, 62%. Say things have unfortunately gotten worse. Island of Oahu, 74%. Maui County, 57%. And Big Island, 81%. Residents on every island characterize the growing ranks of homelessness and crime as an issue that, quoting, worries me a lot. An overwhelming majority perceive both as having gotten worse. So one is a survey of those who travel and visit, and this survey is of those who live here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand and appreciate the findings from that's reported in Forbes, but not conducted by them, but by the organization who surveyed and compiled. I think that's the perception of travelers and visitors. Awesome. The perception of residents in this survey, completely different. Mm-hmm. And so it harkens back to what you said initially before we had this info, is that those of us that live here, little anxiety. And that, I bring that home personally, with my two adult kids, of where they go, when they go, how they go, etc. Is it being paranoid? Am I just on edge because I deal with information surrounding this? Or is it a reality that many of us face? And according to this particular survey, tough.
It is. So the tale of two surveys. This one, you get the visitor one. Mm-hmm. People are here for a limited amount of time. A week, 2 weeks, 3 maybe at the most, right? Now you get, what's the name of that one?
PRP.
Okay, PRP one.
Perspectives.
People living here. They're here 24/7 every single day. They see it. They're living it, right? So another thing, too. Let me bring this up. So crime on the rise doesn't automatically equate to the police not doing their job, okay? Because you could see that when we arrest somebody, the priors, they have multiple 10, 20, 30, 40 priors. Exactly. So they're being arrested. But what happens when crime is up? What's the police doing about it, okay? So I want to bring something up to an article I read, right? So on the Waianae Coast, I guess the people, there was a lot of crime going on out there, right? So Mayor Rick came out. The mayor had a town hall, right? And he said, it takes everyone.
Yes.
Not to co-opt the phrase, but it can't be just the police. I agree. It can't be just the first responders. It has to be the community, okay? I agree and I don't agree, okay? The community, yes, they're not there to police. They're there to be good witnesses. But here's my question. I bring it up all the time. Why do the judges always get a pass with this crap? The judges are to blame for what's going on over here. Once the police make their arrest, it's in the system. We have nothing to do with it after that. Once the guy's charged, he goes into the system. So it's up to the prosecutor. Then when he gets to the court, then the judges. Why do the judges always get a pass on all this stuff? They are the ones responsible, or a lot of responsibility with these people being out there and a crime, repetitive crime. So I'll leave it at that. Steve?
No, I echo what Mayor Rick said. It's not, and I think you're right. When you hear, 72% of locals that live here, don't feel as safe as they used to. Now, as a law enforcement agency, we can hear that, we can take it, right? And I work for HPD. We can't get offended or feel some kind of way about that. That's people's opinion, right? We can simply look internally and see if we are doing the best we can to provide a level of public safety and do what we do. But to the point that Mark just made, I would argue, Rick, point out that there are many different people in positions of power and authority and agencies that are responsible for community safety. You highlighted something. You said homelessness and crime. Well, guess what? I've said this before on the show. What does HPD have to do with homelessness? We are not an agency that is supposed to identify the challenges and concerns of those living on the street, and it's not our job as a law enforcement agency to find solutions about how to get them off the street. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's just start with that. It's not, and we're talking specifically about HPD, but the other police departments in the other counties. It is not the primary job of a law enforcement agency to determine how and when and what strategies to get people off the street. It's not our job. And I'm not saying that with compassion missing from my heart. I'm simply saying that's not our role. So there's other organizations, there's other leaders within the city who are tasked with the monumental event of trying to keep everybody safe. Yes, it's not just, to Mark's point, it's not just and Mayor Rick's point, and we've highlighted this, I know you have too, it's not just a police thing, because ultimately homelessness in a big picture, it's not. Now they commit crimes and then we get involved, and then the judges, according to Mark, don't use the appropriate sentencing guidelines, so we get all that. And I agree with you. Yep. There's several people that are responsible, Rick, to make people that live in this community feel safe. It's not just the leader of the police department and the men and women that wear the uniform.
So I echo.
Yeah.
However, you mentioned, Rick, as far as making progress and truly embracing and addressing. The creation of CORE, I think, is a tremendous opportunity. Mm-hmm. But there has to be a justification for expanding the width and breadth of their responsibilities. In other words, 911 is not the call to make in regard to homelessness.
Correct.
911, with the taxing number of calls and limited staff and experts, let them take care of high priority as they do so well. If someone has concern about a homeless encampment, if they have homeless, we went through McDonald's drive-thru. I can't believe I went to McDonald's. But my daughter's going, I'm hungry, I want to go to McDonald's. Okay. And we're going through drive-thru. Right in drive-thru, there's obviously a homeless individual that is literally lying in the drive-thru. And a person or a business would do what? 911. Call the police.
Exactly.
No. CORE should be the number. Get a number like 511 or whatever, so we can alleviate that burden from our officers. Steve?
Rick, I'm nodding my head in full agreement with you. I think that's a fantastic idea. How it gets implemented, I don't know, but that is a spot-on observation. It's a spot-on comment. 911 is used for everything, right? And then it's routed police or fire. But to your point, if there's another number that could be called, wow, wouldn't that be something?
And I would love to see that take place.
I agree, because right now a lot of time and resources are coming from the police going towards homelessness, which we shouldn't be addressing. That could be going to our other things for the community.
Unfortunately, I'm off this week, so won't get together with the mayor, but will the following week. And I'll actually reach out and after the show today and just kind of pose that scenario, if that's a possibility.
Because, Rick, they have the other number that threw, but are you kind of putting out there like specifically a number to just deal with homelessness? Or
absolutely.
That kind of,
absolutely. Because the point in time count indicated that we're up double digits over the last count. We know that can be somewhat accurate, but perhaps there's going to be even more. And unfortunately, the pervasiveness, people have their reactions. They may not feel safe. So I don't feel safe, 911. But if it's just a presence or there's a conduct of those that are yelling at themselves or talking in the air or whatever it is, let's call CORE, because they have the mental health professionals, physical acumen to deal with really what pervades the issue, mental illness and substance abuse. So we'll advance the idea and see what transpires. This is a very short break for primetime traffic. When we come back, It is always a pleasure to bring the SHOPO Hour to you. You can also review, again, we'll have podcasts for you throughout the day, posted at khvhradio.com. And we started the program off with a report from Forbes. Thank you for going through the details so we could converse about it. But again, there are sentiments of feeling unsafe. But again, I want to cite what you said, Steve. That is an emotional response. And it is not a reflection, in my opinion, on the great officers in the field responding to issues at hand. I always maintain, when we were young, peer pressure is the greatest influence, superseding perhaps even parenting with your children. It can be I bring that to the community. Every community has a leader. Every community cites somebody that commands their respect. Those individuals, I believe, more active, more engaged, and if somebody screws up, you get it from the family instead of outside, because that can be the most effective, if you will. Last point. Everybody knows where the houses are. Everybody knows the people that are the thugs. Everybody knows. See something, say something. I know it sounds trite, but that's a very real directive, guys.
We need community participation to be successful as a law enforcement organization. Mark brings it up many times. We need people in the community to be good witnesses, depending on what they saw, and to follow through with that. And the other thing, Rick, if I could just circle back, you talked about a day in the life. I want to encourage your listeners, and maybe your listeners are a little bit older, but if they have children or grandchildren that are thinking about a career in law enforcement, please reach out and consider doing a ride-along with one of our officers in the various patrol districts. Come on in, get a couple hours with them in the car, and see what the profession is really all about. Because we really need, not only do we need community support, right, to help fight crime and to apprehend offenders, but we need people in the community to consider giving their life in service to get into the law enforcement profession, whether that's as a police communications officer, we know them as dispatchers. We have several vacancies there, and then within the different counties to actually put the uniform on. So please, just to circle back, because I'm thinking about it,
right?
Try to do a ride-along. You can go to the website. It talks about the program. We did one in Pearl City the other week with a young man. So please, if you want to know more about the police profession, don't hesitate to ask a cop. But at the same time, don't hesitate to go to the website and really experience at least a couple hours with an officer in the patrol car.
Go to the HPD museum.
Yeah.
Go. It was one of the most enriching times, and I shared it with Zoe and I, and it was fantastic. Mark?
So, historically, violent crime here has been pretty low, right, compared to the rest of the nation, right? But I think the thing that frustrates officers that are working and all of us is it could be so much better, right? Because we just like the point you brought up, the peer pressure, right? You do something, you're more afraid of your family slapping you in the head, right?
Yeah.
So how about our judiciary slapping these guys in the head and putting them away for, say, 15, 30, 45 days instead of saying, oh, don't do that anymore and letting them go, right? So
it's the tough love.
Exactly. And it works. It's proven time and time again that it works if people are held accountable for their actions.
So I want to bring in, again, thank you for the day in the life. I want to save that for our next visit because we'll spend time. We have literally about a minute. Smash and grabs. Wow. The report of the frequency now, 80 reported smash and grabs in a few month period of time. Just your thoughts for the public in regard to this one issue receiving attention.
Well, to me, it's a trend from the mainland, right? And then you get, these idiots over here that are career criminals. They say, like, okay, let's do it, right? Because the judges ain't going to do anything to us. So, there was an article recently about the smash and grabs and how HBD put a program together, and it had a lot of arrests because of it. But then the article alluded to, well, they didn't arrest him for the smash and grabs; they arrested him for other things.
Check.
But that's how it goes. You don't get him for the actual crime, but you're over there and you're preventing it. Right, so they might have warrants, and they might be doing something else. So it was a success, regardless of what the articles were saying.
On that note, I'm afraid we have a few seconds left, Brother Steve. I can't thank you enough for the body diagnosis of my incredible condition. Looking forward to our next time.
Looking forward to Rick. Thanks again for having us. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Brother.
Happy
Mark.
Memorial Day. Okay, let's not forget.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, brothers.